So this story, it's based in a place in Ireland called Donegal, which is right up the northwest. Okay. And it's about these creatures called Selkies, and they're seals. When they're in the sea, they're seals, but every full moon, they come out of the sea and they take their seal skin off and they become people. And they dance under the moonlight. They like to come out of the sea and dance. Okay. And people, the Irish used to say that the angels fell. When the angels fell to earth, they became fairies, and when they fell into the sea, they became Selkies. Okay, so that's what we're talking about today. So I'll begin. So long, long ago, on an island at the north edge of the world, that's Ireland, there lived a fisherman called Neil McCodron, and he lived all alone in his little farm where the moorland meets the sea, so he could see the sea from his farm. And he had nothing but birds to keep him company, and the stirring of the sand along the shingle shore. But in the long winter evenings, he would sit by his peat fire and he'd watch the smoke curling up out of the roof, and his eyes would look far away as if he was looking to another country. And sometimes when the wind rustled the bent grass on the Lacaille, he seemed to hear soft voices singing in the distance. So one spring evening, he was out fishing with his friends, and they'd caught lots of fish, and they came home with glad hearts, and they started to all go back into their own homes with their fish, but he was all alone, wasn't he? So he stayed behind for a little while, and he was all by himself, and it was going dark, and it was a full moon, and he thought he could hear this singing again. So he hid behind a rock, and he thought he could see some silver lights. And he hid behind this rock, and when he looked, he saw these seals coming out of the sea. And he was amazed when they stood up and they took off the seal skin clothes, and they were people. There were 7 people, and they all took hold of their hands, and they started to dance under the moonlight. And they started to sing and dance, and they were happy. But he was fascinated by the seal people. And as he was watching them, he realised that they were so busy dancing that they weren't taking any notice. So he crept up to the rocks where they'd left the seal skins, and he took one of them. He took one of the seal skins, and he hid it under his coat, and he started to creep away with this seal skin. Well, one of these people who were dancing on the beach, they let out a cry, because they realised that the sealskin cloak was being taken away by this man. So it was a female, and she ran up to him, and she said, "Please give me my skin back." And she had really big brown eyes, like seals, and she was nearly crying. And he didn't want to give it back though, because he fell in love with her. So he said, "Well, come with me, and I'll give you some new clothes. You don't need your sealskin now, you can come and live with me." So she went and lived with him for quite a number of years, and she had some children to him, but he hid her sealskin cloak because he didn't want her to find it, because he knew that if she ever found it, she would put it on and she would go back into the sea where she belongs. So she lived with him for 13 years, and she had 2 children, and she loved her children, and she even loved him, even though he wouldn't give her a sealskin coat back. But one day, her daughter was playing, and she found this thing that she didn't know what it was. So she took it to her mother, and she said, "What is this thing? It's as soft as mist, and it's very beautiful." When her mother saw it, she knew that it was hers. It was her sealskin coat. So she put it on, and she ran down to the sea, and she dived into the sea, and she became a seal again. And as she dived into the sea, the other 6 seals that were with her at the beginning, they all came back, and they were just so happy to see her after all these years. But the children were sad that their mother had gone back into the sea. But every full moon now, whenever it's a full moon, the children run down to the beach, and the seals come up and out of the sea, and they take the coats off, and they all dance under the moonlight. Okay, so did you like that story?
Yeah.
Brilliant.